But in the moment, you need to remember that your values and the way you're parenting is the best that you know how to do.
Welcome to Mom Meets World, a podcast talking all things motherhood, friendships, and life. We're your hosts, Alaina Brookmeyer
and Peyton Saraiva. We have a lot of ground to cover, so let's dive right in.
Hey, y'all.
Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to another episode of Mom Meets World. We have a really great time today chatting like normal. We do a little reintroduce ourselves to all of our new listeners on the podcast, but we have a really good time talking about whether or not we're doing things right in motherhood. We kind of break down some of the stigmas, where this comes from, but also support each other and other moms throughout this journey of motherhood. Come along for the ride, and we can't wait to talk with you.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's dive in. All right, so before we jump into what's been going on in our lives this past week, like we always do, I just kind of want to do a little reintroduction for any new listeners that we have, because we've had more people kind of jump in, find out about us, and relate to us and become our new besties. So Peyton, why don't you give a little elevator pitch, little 1 minute of who you are and what you're all about?
Absolutely. Well, hi guys, I'm Peyton Saraiva, previously Shuckhard. I am a mama of a little 2.5-year-old named Cooper. I'm about 30 years old. I'm originally from Phoenix, Arizona, and we moved down to a beautiful coastal town in Australia called Narooma almost a year ago now. So coming up on 1 year of this kind of distance from you, distance from Clo Girl. But in the same note, my husband and I are loving our life down here. We have a brewery, and we are just so busy getting our kid involved in all things beaches and park life and enjoying our time down here in Narooma. What about you?
Yes. Yeah, so I'm Alaina Brookmeyer. I used previously Shelby, but it's been 5 years now, just about. We're about to celebrate our wedding anniversary for 5 years, and I know you guys have one coming up too. So yeah, I've been with my hubby for, like I said, 5 years, but we met in the Bay Area, California, which is where I'm originally from. We did a little hopping around, eventually ended up here in Phoenix, Arizona. It's a little toasty out here, but we're trying to dip into fall. We got a 2.5-year-old Chloe girl, and she's a little Spitfire, love her, and our pit bull, Cabo Wabo. And so, yeah, we're just loving life over here. I'm a stay-at-home mom and just keeping freaking busy, keeping up with this little toddler, and yeah, living life.
Oh, love that. And welcome to all of our new listeners on the show. It's been, what a journey we've been on. We're over 6 months now of Mom Meets World being live and in the flesh. So it's exciting to celebrate those milestones and just welcome along for the journey. Alaina, how was your week?
That's right. Good. I mean, I think I'm coming down from, I was having some serious vacation withdrawals, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because Portugal was so amazing, and with my girlfriends, and not missing Chloe too much. So it was just such a fun time. So I think coming back to reality, not that reality is bad, obviously. It's just okay, I got more responsibilities now. I'm living my life. Yep. I'm keeping up with my screaming toddler and having her jump all over me. And so, it's beautiful, but I'm like, man, that was a nice taste of some vacation, some fairy tale.
Absolutely.
So coming out of those withdrawals, living my life, settling back into my routine. And, I've explained this before, but Chloe has always kind of had digestion issues, and I've always called it constipation, but I don't know if I've recently shared on here, at least. I know I've shared with you, but I've always been convinced that's been considered constipation, but I think it's mental/emotional because not to get graphic, obviously, but the consistency doesn't match up with the definition of constipation. So that's been interesting while we've been potty training. Oh. But anyways, she was not going for a little bit, an absolute, and I hate calling her this, but just for lack of better terminology, monster. And so she was really uncomfortable, a lot to deal with for me for several days. And then she had a big old poo-poo in the potty, and I was like, yes, girl. And dude, she was like a different person. It was
Night and day.
amazing. Yes, literally. And that is her. So whenever I know that she's acting so uncomfortable and like really acting out in that way, and I'm like, does your belly hurt? And she's like, no. And so I'm like, okay. And so anyways, but she's been amazing, thank goodness, the past 2 or 3 days. And so it's just been like a lightened load for me. And it's a little bit of a conversation with my therapist in the sense of like, I don't want to be too codependent with her behavior and attitude, because I'm like, I don't want it to be just because she's having a bad day or a good day that I'm having the same. But it's really hard, as you know. So
it's so hard.
That's
especially
my life.
When you're around her all the time. You know, you're a full-time stay-at-home mom, and like, I think, you know, you're naturally going to be in tune with where your child's at. If they're having a good day or a bad day, it does affect us, unfortunately, and also in a best way too. Like if Coop's having a great day, we're having a great day, and you know, I think that's just kind of the age that they're at. So you're doing great, and I know she loves you, and definitely can notices your patience throughout the process.
I try. What about you? What's been going on?
Oof, things have been good around here. We went on a little trip to a town called Wagga Wagga, and it was great. It's about a 5-hour drive. Had a little beer festival for the brewery promotion. It was great networking. Had some time with our friends Nick and Kate, which was great. And then we came back, jumped right into the work week. But the big highlight of this week is actually it's my 1-year wedding anniversary.
Yay!
And it is absolutely crazy that it's been a year. And I know they say like the first year it flies by and there's a lot of emotions and whatever. But let me tell you, I think that our wedding was the best weekend of our lives. We got married on a Thursday in Sedona, Arizona, and then 2 days later we had a big reception. We called it our happily ever after party, and I think it was the absolute best week of our lives. I mean, I wouldn't do anything differently, and so I think I'm having a little bit of like, I don't know if I would call it like blues, but I feel like I've just been going through all the photos of our wedding and like being around family and friends, and you know, all of my favorite people in the entire world were around that weekend. I mean, obviously you and Ben were up north, so you guys couldn't make it to the wedding. In hindsight, I wish we could have canceled that, but it was your first weekend away without Chloe, so I'll never hold it against you. But with that being said, it was just like the best weekend. So going into this coming weekend for us, we are going to do a great weekend of celebrating. We've got a really nice bottle of wine that we've been saving, and we are going to actually listen to our vows. So we recorded our wedding vows on a camera, and we both have not listened to the video of our wedding since. So
oh my gosh,
we purposely have been holding off until our 1-year anniversary to go and watch our wedding video. Of course, we've got like the little clips and stuff from our phones from everyone else's vantage point, but like the official video on our camera, like our nice Canon camera, we've saved for this weekend. So I'm really looking forward to just like sitting back, reflecting on that, listening to the words of our vows, and kind of just highlighting those promises we've made to each other. For those who are new around here, we moved down to Narooma, and it's been a struggle, I'd say, in a lot of ways, a lot of really great moments, but we're so far from friends and close family. And so, yeah, there's definitely been some highs and lows, but we've really had to depend on each other throughout those highs and lows. And so those vows do come into play quite frequently, just like remembering good days and bad days or whatever. So I'm excited to kind of reflect on those, hear them out loud again, and just kind of connect in that way. So that's exciting.
Very cute. I love how intentional you guys are with that too, because I don't think Ben and I planned anything for like future acknowledgement or celebration, but obviously we still celebrate each anniversary. But I love that idea. It's so cute.
Yeah, thank you.
Tears will be shed.
Oh, probably. And I hope we can just sit and reflect and like look forward, because you know, we've had like a lot of big hurdles we've done in life. We've moved quite a lot, and we've done a lot of things just untraditionally. And so as we sit back and we watch this, you know, this video, but also like look at what the future looks like, I just want to make sure that we reflect and like congratulate each other and celebrate coming out on top. I think it's really easy to focus your energy in other places and let life continue on, but I really want to take that day, October 12th, which is our anniversary, and be intentional with it. So that's us.
Love, love, love. Oh, you'll have to let me know how it goes. And
thank you.
Yeah, we have lots of celebrating this month, the month of October. Love.
What's your anniversary again?
The 27th.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, 2019, back in the day. So Ben and I, at least like, and it's not a surprise. I wanted it to kind of be a surprise, or at least I was planning for it to be. And I was also waiting for him to bring up like, oh yeah, our anniversary is coming up, but I just brought it up early. But we're going to do, because our very first date, not necessarily wedding related, but we had our first date at a brewery in Oakland, and it's called Drake's Dealership, if anyone knows of it. And
Cute.
so I was trying to like do some searching, even on like Uber Eats. I just Googled like where to buy that specific beer in our area, and they sell it somewhere in Mesa. So I was going to like either have that be delivered or me go get it, whatever it is. And then maybe do like a little drive-in movie situation just to be
Oh,
cute and
so
different. Not,
cute. Absolutely.
yeah. So that's going to be our plan. And Ben apparently has something else up his sleeve. I don't know what it is. So yeah, I'll keep you guys posted.
Love to hear it. Can't wait for the follow up afterwards. And that drive in idea, really cute, especially with it being
Yeah.
autumn. Bring some snuggly blankets, go out to the drive in, bring some snacks, and report back how it goes.
Totally. Will do. So
Yes.
speaking of like snuggly and like especially nighttime coziness, do you have any moments in that category? Anything you want to shout out?
Absolutely. So right now I am finding that I don't feel better than when I am in like a pajama set. Like I love a good set. I feel really confident. I kind of feel a little sexy, but a little bit like put together when I go to bed and I'm not just wearing just like random crap. So I found this really great set from Cotton On. They have like a body line. So it's kind of like their intimate swimsuits and all that. And I'm not sure if they have that as well in America, but it's out here.
Hmm.
It's called Body. And I'm obsessed with the Winnie woven set. It's a really cute, like top and bottom. There's a couple little buttons, but below it kind of shows a little bit of skin, so it still has a little bit
Ooh.
of that like romance feel to it. But it's just like the softest material. The shorts are kind of like a boy short, but really like flowy, and they're just so comfortable. So I really recommend that if you're looking for a new pajama set.
Yes. I recently am on this pajama set game. And I'm gonna have
Yes.
to look yours up on it because like I have been like what you just mentioned, definitely mixing and matching like my Costco sweatpants and like my
Oh yeah.
t-shirt from some free t-shirt from wherever, which is
Band
like
game.
amazing. Yeah. And so I'm just like chilling, but I also want to, like we've been kind of touching on recently on our episodes and just like behind the scenes of that, I want to feel a little bit better about myself and also just like connecting with Ben. So I still want to look like a little put together, even though we're just at home and like hanging
Yeah.
out. So I actually got a new pajama set too. Not a brand I recognize because it is from Amazon, but it's called Echo Air.
Ooh,
We will
sounds.
link it. Don't worry about it, guys. I will not spell it for you. But yeah, it's kind of similar. It sounds like, but I got like a moss green because I feel like I look
Ooh,
decent in green, and it's kind of a sheer but like woven knit kind of situation. So it's still kind of cozy, but still like thinner material and just comfy. So it's a little T action, a little
love that.
lower V. The pants don't drag on the ground, and I'm only 5'3", or I want to say I'm 5'4", but you'll know I'm lying. So yeah, it is such a good fit. And even Benjamin, my husband, is feeling it. And he's like, those pants look good on you. And I'm like, thanks. I tried.
It's so
So yeah.
cute. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm loving that. Also, fun fact, Alaina and I have a quite big height difference. I am 5'9", 5'10", and Alaina is 5'3". And so we recently posted a really funny picture of just like me cuddling Alaina, but like my arms are like on her top of her shoulder, kind of like I'm like totally on top of her, and it made me
Yeah.
laugh. So that's a fun little fact. Sorry for the interruption. I love a good pajama. Green looks amazing on you.
Thanks.
And you know what? I think that's a really good thing. A few episodes ago, I'm not sure if you guys listened in, we talked about kind of just mom improvements and self enhancements. And I think even just starting within the household, what can I do? Like you get out of the shower at night or whatever your nightly routine looks like. Put on something that you feel good about, and you'll notice that you wake up every day feeling, just a little bit better. I found, and I think that's a really great reminder. And I love this moment of the week.
Yeah. I know, like I said, I'm going to be searching your little set after this.
Same, same,
Awesome.
same.
Well, then let's dive into the heart of our episode. And this is something that, like, I am constantly just kind of like using up energy on. And today is actually World Mental Health Day, too. So I want to kind of link it into that as well to connect it. But we're going to touch on how do you know if you're parenting, quote unquote, right? Like, how do you
Yep.
know you're doing it right? So this is a big, just general question, but it's also like, if anyone actually waits all the way to the end of our episode when we have our little quote of like, sometimes you just need another mom to tell you that you're doing it right more than you're doing it wrong. And so, anyways, I just kind of wanted to pick your brain. Let's get the conversation flowing on this one, and yeah, see where it takes us.
That's a great introduction on the topic, and I'm excited to kind of chat with you about this because I do find that, as moms, you scroll Instagram and you'll randomly see the quote that says, if you're a mom that is worrying if you're doing it right, it means you're like trying hard. And I definitely reflect on that. And something that comes straight to my mind is when Chase and I were pregnant with Cooper, we were gifted this book called Cherishing the First 6 Weeks. And I'm someone who I was ready for kids for a long time. I was around my sisters and cousins and all that sort of thing. So like parenting or that maternal instinct's pretty nature to me. So for Chase, he is not around tons of kids or whatever. So we got this book and we both read through it individually. And then as a team, as a couple, we went through it and we kind of use it as our guidelines. And so I noticed that like literally we would circle pages. We'd had stuff printed out in the house. When we were in the hospital, we were like, we're trying to focus on what it said in the book, right? And I think that was my first time in my life where I was like, I want to be a good mom. I want to do things the right way. I want to do this right. So like the experience is good for our son, or that Chase and I are doing it the way that, people have been doing it in the past, because our kids aren't born with the guidelines or like they don't come with an instruction manual. Right. Yeah. So I think that's like the first time that it comes to mind for me that like, I was trying to do something right, or I was trying to hit the status quo of what's to be expected as a mom. You know what I mean?
Totally. Yes. And it's good that you guys had that book because like you're saying, the kids don't come with instruction manuals, and like motherhood and parenthood doesn't exactly either, but like everyone tries pretty close to like get it down in a book or like advice, whatever it is. So it's good that you guys had that to kind of like help guide you into a groove at least.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I do think we caught a lot of flack on the opposite, right? And I think this also kind of touches on the guts of the episode is everyone is going to have a different opinion of what being a right mom looks like or being right parent look like. Because for us, we saw this book. It was a pretty schedule-oriented book. It kind of helped us put Cooper, what to expect. He would sleep. We'd wake him up. We would do these certain things, right? And we did kind of put our daily routine around that. And so when I say we caught flack, there were definitely family members and a few friends that were like, what do you mean you can't go because of a nap? Or, oh, you're waking your child from a nap. You're waking your child up. Like, that's not normal, right? But for us, like, Cooper was sleeping through the night by 6 weeks. This book really helped us put him on a schedule. It's how we knew what to expect. It's how Chase knew what to expect with, like, his responsibilities as a dad. It got him really involved. The book painted a really good picture for us on, like, what night times look like for me to get 6-hour stretches of sleep. I mean, the book really, really helped us. But like I said, it definitely divided some people in our family. And like, oh my God, you just like enjoy the time. You feed the baby when it cries. You do this, and this, right? So I think in general, this conversation is deep and it's got a lot of roots. And I want you to give your experience because like, I mean, day one, I was like, oh my God, we need to do this for him. Or like, oh my God, how do I advocate for my child? Because I want to be a good mom for him, So like, tell me about you. Tell me about Ben. What was it like for you guys?
I think like when you mentioned the book and like just having some kind of idea, I think that's kind of what resonates with me because I didn't grow up or like even into early adulthood, I wasn't around with a lot of young kids at all. Like none of my good friends had kids, no family that I was close to just recently had kids, like no cousins or anything like that. So I was kind of going into motherhood and like pregnancy in general, just with not really knowing what exactly to expect. So I was wanting some advice, but as I was looking and seeking for advice from other people and moms, when I was pregnant, something that always stuck with me was I would be told a few times, the best advice is to not listen to other people's advice. Or like if something works for you and your family, then it works. Then you are doing it right. If it's right for you and your family, it's right. And so those kind of things just really stuck with me going into all of this because kind of like what I said earlier, introducing our topic, like today, like while we're recording, it's World Mental Health Day. And like, since I experienced some OCD and like my category is just right, because I always
Yeah.
want things to be just right. And it is mild OCD. So it doesn't take over my life, but it definitely
Yeah.
takes up a lot of my energy.
Mm-hmm.
And so I am always looking for validation and like confirmation that I am doing what's just right. And so it
Yeah.
kind of drives me bonkers. Like I'm just like in my own head a lot of the times, and whether I express it or even acknowledge it in my head, it just takes up so much of my space. So I kind of go back to that early on advice that I did get when I was pregnant of like giving myself that reality check. Like it's okay. And everyone does things differently. And that's going to be the whole kind of consensus of like what we're going to be touching on. But yeah, I mean, it's hard not to just get in your head and like be like, am I doing this right though? Or should I be doing it this way that I saw? Or are there other ways that are better? I don't know. So it's a never ending
100%.
cycle.
Well, I mean, totally. And I think it's really nice of you to touch on the mental health side of it, but also like kind of what goes on in your brain in a day to day, you know? And I'm finding that now that Cooper's older, I'm definitely not comparing him more to others. I'm more just looking at how other people are doing things, right? So down here, I'm in a mother's group, and I'm in, I go to this like weekly. There's parent group. I can't remember what it's called. It's like a play center. We go and you can bring your kids. And there's different crafts and there's different activities and centers set up. And I find that like I'm bringing Cooper there, and he's immediately drawn to certain things when my other friends' kids are drawn to other things. And you just got to parent the kid you have and like not coerce him into doing things. And I'm finding that's my biggest goal and challenge at the moment is stepping back, letting Cooper play in his own way and not guide him on how I want him to play, let his creative juices flow. And that is a tip I've learned just by watching other parents down here. They're not telling which kid what to play in the playground. They're going, okay, off you go, and just watching where they immediately go. Because normally I would say I'd go, okay, let's go to the swing first, then we'll go to the monkey bars or whatever. So but I think naturally, like I am comparing him to other kids or other parents. And I just think now that we're at this age, we're around all these other people with very similar age kids. I think it's natural to go, oh, they're doing this, or oh, Chloe's potty trained. Cooper's not potty trained. Cooper has zero desire to go potty train at the moment. Like screams when I put him near the toilet. But like Cooper is doing things in his own way and own times, and I just think it's so necessary to like reflect on, okay, are you trying to make Cooper good for him, or is it more for yourself to help your mental health, to help me tick a box in my head that he's wanting to be, And I found like once we got through that 6-week check-in, his 12-week check-in, we stopped using that book as much, and I was able to kind of enjoy a little bit more of parenthood. And someone recently asked me if, like, when we have our next baby, are we going to use the book to the same exact mark? Are we going to be as strict with our schedule as we were with Cooper? And, it's a really interesting one. I don't know how that will look with baby number 2 because we're in such a different world now. We've got a little toddler, and I don't want Cooper's life to change completely when having another child. But in the same note, like, that helped us get through a lot of hard things, and that was a really good goal for us as a family. But I think that's kind of important throughout this entire conversation of, are we doing things right? What does it look like? Are we good moms? What does it look like to be a good mom? And like, who is the definition of a good mom,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's a good question to even ask yourself. Like, who are you, like, even idolizing? Like, who are you picturing to be, like, holding yourself up to these just such high standards? And yeah, I think a lot of the times, because you mentioned wanting to take a step back, right? Like when you're watching Cooper play or like do his own thing. And I'm trying to do that so hard with Chloe, but it's kind of like engraved in me to just have control and like guide her because I know what's best or like I know what's
Yeah.
going on, but she needs to like get the memo, or because maybe if I don't say something, then the other thing is going to happen. And then I'm going to be like, man, I should have said something. So I
Yeah.
think it also comes down to like, okay, I don't want to have any regrets. So let me go ahead and like put my 2 cents in and like try to have this control. Cause like kind of doing some self analysis and like being very self aware of like myself growing up with my mom being an addict and like just feeling like I was so responsible for her actions, my actions, every scenario possible. Like I just felt all this responsibility weighing on me for my decisions and my actions. So I feel like that's
Yeah.
kind of playing a part with my parenting and Chloe, unfortunately. And it's something I'm practicing. But I think like whether you have a similar experience to me or not, like I think a lot of people, and especially when you're a mom, like you feel like you know best, or that's kind of engraved in it. So it's just like, okay, I'm going to try what I think is best. And maybe it's not, but I think that's another thing that I need to keep reminding myself. And maybe anyone else who's listening is like, okay, trial and error, like try what you think is best. And if it doesn't end up being like okay, or what would be the best in whatever situation you're imagining, like then try something else. It's not the end of the world. Just keep pivoting. That is life, and you can only predict so much. So I think that kind of like what you were saying about having your second kiddo, whenever that's going to be, and like potentially going back to that same book and same guidelines. But it's just like you can only plan so much and kind of, you know, predict, but at least you have a good basis. And like that's the whole thing too, of like as we continue motherhood and like growing with our kiddos, we have that base to just move forward with and just continue to try our best. And that's all we can do.
Yeah, absolutely. And something that just came to mind is really hard for me, but like letting a little bit of the cause and effect parenthood happen, right? So we had a situation where Cooper wanted to crawl in the stroller by himself. I said no, that it's dangerous, explained it to him. He continued to do it anyways. I didn't necessarily punish him, but I just said this is what could happen. And then less than an hour later, he was crawling into the stroller and the brakes went off and he fell down. The stroller fell over. I was right there, so he wasn't necessarily seriously injured, but I think the shock factor of this is what we just spoke about happened. And I think as a mom, initially I wanted to grab the stroller, grab him, put him back in to protect him. But I think also like we had spoken about it multiple times before this. It wasn't just the first time. But like kind of that cause and effect thing, letting your kids not fail, but see what could happen when things, you know, aren't status quo, or you know, when we say no, it's not just because we want to have power over our kids or control. I would say more times than not it's to keep them safe or put them in a situation to thrive, right? So as a parent, I'm always reflecting like, was that a good choice? Because he had a little teeny owie on his leg, he cried, but then he just cuddled on mommy. And then yesterday we went, or 2 days ago, whatever, after we went got into the stroller again, mama up, put him in the stroller, and he goes, no fall, mama, no fall. And I was like, okay, like I don't want him to be scared of falling, because that's going to happen through life. Like failures are going to happen, but I want him to know, one, I'm always going to be there for him, but two, like we're trying to teach you things that will help. And, you know, I think as moms, we're on our phones quite often with social media and parenting and Facebook and all these things. And you scroll down and you see all these reels. I mean, you and I love to make reels and like little relatable videos for parents. But something I also worry about is like, am I on my phone too much? Like, does Cooper see, you know, when I wake up in the morning, you know, we play and then we go and I make coffee. When I'm making coffee, I'm on my phone scrolling while he's doing his things. Like, I'm always trying to make sure that he doesn't see me as the mom on my phone all the time. I don't want him to ever go, Mama, look, and I have to look up for my phone. I want to be one of those moms that like is there more times than not, if that makes sense. That's something that I'm
Totally.
trying to be better at, trying to be cognizant of, but also reminding Chase too that like when he gets home from work, he wants to unwind a little bit and veg out. And I also don't want Cooper to look at Daddy and be like, Daddy was at work and Daddy's on his computer, or Daddy's at work and Daddy's on his phone. You know, and Chase is, I think, better than I am at like knowing when to plug off and, you know, step back from all of that. Do you find similar like vibes in the house? Am I nuts?
You're nuts. No, that's something that I've been trying to be very mindful of and practice too. And it's so freaking hard, because it's just like, especially when we're home with the kiddos and we're like, it's an all day thing. I want a little break here and there. And if that happens to be picking up my phone, then so be it. But there is a boundary, because it's like, you don't want to have to do that all day, every day. And like high frequency, like maybe it's for a minute or two at a time. But like if they keep looking up at you and you're always on your phone, then it's like, ooh, that's a little hit to the heart. And that hurts my heart to know that she will remember that, right? So it's like I pick my battles. I'm like, okay, if I actually do really want to be on my phone, or maybe need to be on my phone for whatever reason, then I will do it. But I'm like, okay, if I'm mindlessly scrolling, or I just picked it up out of habit and she calls me over, I'm going to like put it down immediately. So it's practice. And I know it never used to be like this, right? Like we had our episode about generational parenting, and like, this is another difference where like phones are a big thing now, and it's just a part of our world, and it's hard to navigate, but all you can do is kind of practice and understand like what the priorities are in each moment. Ben's kind of the same as Chase. Like, of course, he wants to detach from his work life, have that transition going into home life and being off of work, off the clock. But I will have to check in with him sometimes because I'm like, okay, if Chloe actually wants his attention and she's in a good mood, which we've chatted about is not always the case, I'm like, yo, dude, take advantage right now. Put your phone down. Like, she wants some dad time. And yeah, so I think it's just moment to moment in that kind of situation.
Absolutely. And then do you find like when you're out and about, do you ever find yourself comparing yourself to other moms or moms on social media or like even in general? Like do you find yourself comparing or are you feeling pretty good about where you guys are at in your motherhood journey so far?
I'll compare a little bit in the sense of like, at least as far as social media goes, like that instance of the phone situation. Recently, I saw a reel about whoever it was. Do you follow like Dr. Becky somebody? I forget her name.
Potentially.
Yeah. Anyways, maybe I'll pull it up and send it to you later, or we can post it. But she is pretty well versed in just child behavior, right? And like giving parents advice. So she was kind of saying, like, oh, I don't have any memories of my mom and like the back of her phone, but I don't want my kids to have that memory. So blah, 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 blah. I'm like, oh
Yeah.
no, that makes me feel really bad about myself. And I mean, it's not taking up all my day. And like, I don't think Chloe loves me any less because of it, but it does take a hit when I see that kind of stuff. But when I'm like out in public, I don't do too much comparing. No, because I feel like I'm to be a little proud moment. I feel like I'm pretty decent with parenting Chloe in public. Like I do my best, absolute best to be like the gentle parent, right? So if something's going on, I keep my cool. I might raise my voice a little bit more at home, obviously, but yeah, like you gave the little example of Cooper and the stroller and the brakes, but recently I am struggling with Chloe running away. Like she's actually running away, and she thinks it's
Ooh.
hilarious. She thinks it's a game. She will keep running, like in the store several times this week. I'll take her to Target, I'll take her to Safeway, the grocery store, and she'll run down the aisle and turn. And I'm like, no, dude. So I'll have to chase her. And she's laughing. And because she's so freaking cute, I almost want to giggle too, but I try so hard to
Yeah.
hold my face together. But I tell her, I'm like, this is very serious. If you are not close to mama and if mama can't see you, you don't know, like, yeah, I tell you sometimes like it's okay to say hi to people, but that's only when you're with mama. If you're not with mama and you see strangers, people we don't know, then it becomes scary, okay? And I'm like, if I can't see you or you can't see me, you're in trouble. We're going to have a problem, okay? It's
Yeah.
scary, it's dangerous, blah, blah, blah. So only just today it started to stick with her a little bit. And I don't know what it was. I think it's because I knew I was like at the end of the aisle, you know, like when you're in the main walkway and you can keep walking and see each aisle. So I knew where she was running. She was far away from me, but obviously still in the store. And
Yeah.
then she went to the next aisle. I could still see her, but then she didn't see me right away. And I think it kind of hit her like, oh,
I don't
yeah,
see
wait,
mom.
yeah. So like in that moment, sometimes I'm worried about other people kind of judging me. So I'm
Yeah.
like, am I handling this right? I don't know. Like, are people thinking things? Or maybe they're thinking, like, oh, yeah, that's a good mom. I can see that she has her eyes on her and she's teaching her a lesson when she gets back with her, like talking to her, like quietly and bending down to her level, eye level, blah, blah, blah. So in those kind of situations, when there's people around and I have to actually address a serious issue with Chloe, then I'm like, I think I'm doing this right. I think so, but I know people are thinking thoughts.
I think that in those moments, you need to reflect and going like your main number one priority is to make sure Chloe's safe and that you're getting the message
Yes.
across. Most
Mm-hmm.
people in the grocery store or at the market or at the park or whatever situation as parents we're going through, someone's been there or knows someone that's gone through that. In each stage of toddlerhood, people understand. And guess what? Sorry, but if someone's judging you for that choice that you're making in that moment to do this, they can just kind of bugger off. I mean,
Yeah.
seriously, like you're trying your best you can. Having your kid run away is so scary because like your mind goes to all these awful places, but in the moment you need to remember that your values and the way you're parenting is the best that you know how to do. And every single time you reiterate to Chloe those rules, it will get stuck in her head. She will understand. And if one day you have to raise your voice at the store, no one's going to look at you and go, wow, she yelled. You just have to remember you taught her 10 times not to do this. And, you know, like it is for her safety, right? And so it's kind of that balance of like when do we let them, you know, be a little bit more scared, but to prove a point? Or is it like that gentle parenting, want to coddle our little teeny tiny infants that we see in the back of our head forever? But in a
Yeah.
situation like that, I think you're doing great. And it is natural to like look around and be like, oh my God, is someone watching me going, oh my gosh? Or, I mean, I can relate to you right just now. Like we went to a coffee shop in Wagga Wagga the other morning and Cooper wanted pancakes. They didn't have pancakes. He just kept yelling pancakes and like would not drop it and was like
Pancakes.
screaming. He calls them pee-pees because he can't say pancakes. So almost worse. He's pee-pees, 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 pee-pees. And I'm like, oh my God, dude.
That's hilarious.
Stop. And I had to like remove him from the coffee shop, walk away and be like, look, like if this is how we're going to act, we can't be in the store. And like we waited and he's like, Dada. I go, Dada's having breakfast without us. And like it was a moment where he like, I was more embarrassed about how he was acting. So I removed him. I think also I've noticed Cooper does better when I remove him from the certain settings where he's acting naughty as opposed to like keeping him there and trying to parent him there. But in the same note, I was like looking around going, oh my God, Cooper, look at these people who are looking at you. They want to have breakfast in silence, or like, Cooper, stop, like look around. I shouldn't have said that. And like that's something I chatted with Chase about in the drive back to town was like, I shouldn't tell Cooper to not be himself or to not act that way because of others. I want Cooper to act in a certain way because that's the right way to do things, you know, or that's the way like, okay, they don't have pancakes, but what else do you want? Or like, I understand you want pancakes, bud, and I'm sorry that they don't have them. But in that moment, my tired, overstressed brain was like, no, Cooper, look around. You're being loud and annoying. Like, stop, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And like, I actually regret doing that. I don't like that I said those things to him. I don't like that I said, Cooper, look at all these other people, because I don't want him to then reflect on what other people are doing for him to know if his actions are valid or his feelings are, you know, because they don't know that he's sad and in his whole world, all he wanted is pancakes. In that moment, his entire world was about pancakes. Did we end up going and finding a pancake shop after that? Yeah, because I'm a pushover and I love him. So I went down to the next coffee shop down the round and I found like the biggest pancakes ever. And I just loved him. So we found pancakes elsewhere because I love him. And I was like, shoot, I don't think I liked that I just did that. And like, that wasn't very fair to him. So like,
and I think that's also probably like telling him that he can get his pancakes probably also helped him calm down maybe a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Well, because we went to a whole different coffee shop and they had like a little play center. Actually, was voice noting you when I was there.
Oh, that's right. You're cool.
Yeah, they had like a little like kids corner while the food cooked, and he came back to the table on pancakes and he goes, Dada, pancakes, and he had the biggest smile and then just squeezed Chase, and like I was like, oh my God, I'm the best mom but the worst mom at the same time. Like I'm so happy we found these pancakes. I'm so happy he's so happy, but also what a dick was I 10 minutes ago yelling at him about this, like comparing him to other kids. So I think that every day there's going to be ways for us to reflect and check in with each other. And as moms, like I reach out to you about stuff. I reach out to my other girlfriends who have kids and just be like, oh my God, this situation, or like venting about this, or at the end of the day to Chase, oh my gosh, Cooper and I had this really great moment and then this afterwards. But I think that shows that we're trying to be good moms.
Totally. And in those hard moments, especially in the moment when like the kid's screaming or whatever's happening, it's intense. And it's just like, you just automatically go to what's easy to say, because we can practice all we want and like do our best to be whatever parenting style we're striving for. But it's just like when you got that screaming toddler, like what you say is what you say, and you're human, and you know, just give yourself grace about it.
Absolutely. Before we wrap up, I just wanted to ask you one little question. And if you like, what do you want out of your kid? And like, what is your main goal for parenting? Like, what would be a big mom success if your daughter was 18 years old, graduating from high school and standing up at the podium?
Oh my
like
God.
Rory Gilmore. I know, it makes me so emotional.
Oh.
Did you ever watch Gilmore Girls?
Oh, duh. Yes.
Okay. So like
all day,
I'm just picturing, I'm channeling my Gilmore Girls energy. It's autumn there, so I love it. It's already back on again at my house. So, you know, she's up at the podium and there's like the audio happening behind the scenes. Like, what do you picture for Chloe? Like, as a mom win, what do you think?
Oh gosh, I just want her to know that she's loved and will be supported no matter what, like whatever she's gone through up until that point, and will continue, and you know, continue being smart. But also, it's just like I picture, gosh, oh my gosh, that's such a like, I love that question, because now I'm literally picturing Chloe accepting her
diploma.
high school diploma. Her
Oh
little
my
hat.
God.
Okay. But I picture her just being so freaking independent because she's so young, but she's already a freaking spitfire. And like,
Yeah.
we just had, I told you we went and saw our financial advisor the other night. We had a meeting with her, and Chloe came with us because this woman loves seeing Chloe. And just like each time we meet with her, she's like, oh my God, she's so big. But anyway, she's like, dude, she's going to be a CEO. She's going to run the world. And I'm like, I know, but she's so challenging in the moment. So anyways, I would love for her to continue to be independent and just like truly own who she is and not hold back for anybody or anything. So I think I need to hold on to that, and like especially the independent part, because it's like we were talking about, I want control.
Yeah.
So I need to just like cool it, let her do her thing, even though she's, like we said, she's so young. But that's what I picture. And I think that's the true measure too, of just like her being safe, healthy, and her own being is kind of the measure that we are doing it right.
You are doing it right. Oh, I love that. Oh, Chloe and Cooper is so cute. So if I were to picture Cooper as he's graduating across the stage, I think for me, like having a young man, I want Cooper to just be like a kind and compassionate man. I just want him to, have manners, treat women with respect, but also be true to who he is. Cooper is very different than Chloe in the way Cooper is a little bit more on the introverted side. He's a little bit more, he thinks about things pretty heavily before he does them. So he's not the first person to jump on the trampoline. He watches for a second and then he does it. I want him to stay true to who he is as an individual and not let myself or society change him to be or conform to like the pressures of being like the loud one in the room, because I know that as a young man, I think it'll be hard to stand out if you're not the loudest one in the room. And I hate that
Mm.
in general. But I just like want Cooper to have manners and just continue to be a good man and good person. I mean, Chase is an amazing role model for Cooper, and that way he can command the room with his respect just by being smart and intensive and just kind. And I want
Mm-hmm.
Cooper to have manners. I want him always to be invited back to places and just be that guy that's like, wow, that's a really good kid. And I think Cooper's going to do amazing things as he gets older, and he's going to go and I think if you ask him today what he wants to be when he gets older, he says he wants to be a trash truck driver. He's obsessed with trash trucks. And if that's what he wants to do, you go do that, man. But I love seeing every day he's got new passions and love, and his bravery is really
Yeah.
coming through recently. So I think that I
Oh,
just want them to be happy. That's my big thing too.
he has a good base. We're doing just fine. And they are obviously, like I said, the measurement of like that we really are doing it right and they're on the right path. And just I'm even telling myself, take a breather. We are doing it right. It's hard not to get in our heads and like do the comparison thing, but we're killing it. You're killing it.
We are. And you know what? You're doing things right more than you're doing them wrong. And that's something to
Yeah.
always just remember. Like, no one goes into the day thinking that they're going to fail. No one goes into anything and thinks, oh, I'm going to suck at this. But like, at least you're trying, and your kids will forgive you, and they'll forgive you time and time again. And I just
Mm-hmm.
want you to know that you're doing amazing, Alaina, and all you other moms that are
Thanks.
listening in. I hope this is a little motivational thing for you. Maybe like a confidence boost as you're on that morning walk, knowing that you're doing a great thing, and we
Yeah.
are cheering you on in this life of motherhood.
Yeah. Love, love, love. I think everyone needs to listen to this episode, honestly. Just a little pep talk and just we're all in it together, you know?
Yes, yes. So, all right. Well, I think that should wrap it up. And I'm so happy that we got to have that conversation with you, girlfriend. And
Yeah.
I wanted to touch on a few things before we go. Next week we have an amazing guest popping on the podcast. Her name is Clara Baker, and she is my endometriosis helper or guide, but she's actually an acupuncturist. So she comes in and she'll chat with us about how to help with fertility, what it looks like in her line of work, how she helps pregnant women, how she helps with people post, embryo transplant. She works with a lot of people that come in for acupuncture post, IVF treatments. But
Cool.
overall, she is someone who's changed my experience with pregnancy. So I'm really excited to have her on the show. So I'm excited for that episode, you guys.
Yeah. I'm sure she'll share lots of really, really good info, lots of good things that people could just soak up in whatever state you're at.
Yes. And then one other thing, I'm not sure if anyone knows, but we are on Spotify and we are also on YouTube now. So if you guys want to come and sit and watch, you can watch us on video on Spotify. Just click on the Spotify link and our video will pop up. But also we're on YouTube. So if you want to sit back and have it on the TV or on your computer while you are out and about, give us a like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Yeah, love it. Come find us.
Awesome. All right, girl. Well, I can't wait to talk with you next week on all things life.
Same. Alrighty, until next time. Bye, guys.
Bye. Thanks for joining us on this week's episode of Mom Meets World. If you enjoyed listening, please give us a like, subscribe, and find us on Instagram at Mom Meets World Pod.
Because sometimes you just need another mom to remind you that you're getting it right more than you're getting it wrong. See you next time.